And even more importantly, we're never taught how the game of marriage works. And so as these expectations, these resentments, these micro resentments build, they start to stack on each other one by one by one. And so you start to question whether you're married to the right person. She doesn't laugh at your jokes. She's not excited to see you. She's not interested in your stories, your accomplishments. She's not thanking you for all the hard work you put in. I must have married the wrong woman. Well, what if in fact it isn't the fact that you married the wrong woman? It's just you haven't learned how to treat this woman to a way that allows you to be respected. Did you marry the wrong woman? Do you ever feel like sometimes you're just in the wrong marriage and you made the wrong choice? You know, if you're only with this other woman, then things would just be easy. Life shouldn't be this complicated, and certainly marriage shouldn't be this hard. Sex should be fun and you should be having it all the time. Well, if that's what you're thinking, then this is the episode for you. Today, I want to give you some examples of why men commonly go through this question. 2, do women have the same quandary? And 3, what you can do about it. So first off, let's talk about why this happens. And it's super, super common. In fact, I had this question myself back in the day. And most men, I think, do at some point or another. And if they're not having it, their partners probably are. Now, what happens clearly is it's unmet expectations. The relationship, or the marriage in this case, isn't matching the expectations you had, the expectations you have for what a marriage should be like. And if you're like most people, what's happened over time is your marriage starts off hot and heavy, right? You guys are close. That's why you got married typically. I mean, maybe there's a child involved or another reason. But typically you get married because you're in love with your partner. You see a future with them. And over time, you throw in kids, work, responsibilities, soccer practice, you name it, into the mix. And you and your wife have started to diverge. As you've gotten older, you've started to have a path go further and further away from each other. And as that path goes further and further away, instead of building bridges to repair it, because you don't have the skill sets, no one's taught us, right? You actually go further and further, and you look across the way, and eventually you see this woman you used to love, the woman you used to share your bed with, and probably still share your bed with, but it used to be a more passionate relationship, now looks more like a stranger, looks more like a roommate, and not the cool roommate that tosses you a beer when you're watching ESPN, but the kind of roommate when you come in the door is asking you why you didn't do the dishes, why this isn't done, and it starts nagging in on you. And you're thinking, well, why the heck am I even here? And the reason, again, guys, we were never taught the skills. And obviously in school, we're not taught about money, how to manage money really, really well. Now, of course, if you study economics in college or at the university, it's a different story for you. But for most of us, as we went up all the way through high school, the conversation around how to manage money just never really came about, how the game of money really works. And even more importantly, we're never taught how the game of marriage works. Sure, we get advice. Right? We get advice from people, but we never learn the methodologies or the techniques that allow a marriage to stay passionate, to stay thriving. And so as these expectations, these resentments, these micro resentments build, they start to stack on each other one by one by one. And as they stack on each other, the resentment builds more and more, and the mud on the glass between you and your partner gets dirtier and dirtier. So think about it this way. You and your partner, your wife, are standing across from each other. And the glass is clean and shiny because you can see each other for who you really are. This is when you got married. It's love, the passion. And over time, little small resentments build up. She nags at you for not taking out the trash. You wonder what she does all day. And little bits of dirt and mud get thrown onto this glass. Now, over the course of years, this glass becomes so muddy that when you try to wipe it up with a false apology or buying another piece of jewelry or a vacation, it just smears the mud on the glass. And you can see maybe a little bit better temporarily. But over time, like scrubbing, with a dry rag, a muddy glass, it just smears. It doesn't get much better. And what we need to do is wipe that glass clean. What happens though, is for most people, they don't know how to wipe the glass clean. And these resentments come, the expectations, the stories of, well, I go out and I earn all the money, so she should fill in the blank. She should give you a blowjob when you walk in the door. She should pour you a drink when you walk in the door. She should treat you like the king that you are. Yet you're not treating her like a queen. And so you start to question, well, geez, when I go to the office, whoever it is, Jennifer, she laughs at all my jokes. She thinks I'm funny. My wife doesn't laugh at any of my jokes. Or maybe you go to the gym and there's somebody you're doing a CrossFit class or whatever else it is. And that person always smiles when they see you. That person sees you for the man that you are, but your wife doesn't seem to. And so you start to question whether you're married to the right person. She doesn't laugh at your jokes. She's not excited to see you. She's not interested in your stories, your accomplishments. She's not thanking you for all the hard work you put in. Yet everybody else seems to see you for the king that you are. I must have married the wrong woman. Well, what if in fact it isn't the fact that you married the wrong woman? It's just you haven't learned how to treat this woman to a way that allows you to be respected. This is where we use the triad of connection. Now, you see, first you need to understand that for a woman, safety is paramount. And it's not just physical safety, it's emotional safety. And when men show up in these marriages and we get resentful, right? We get angry, we get agitated, and we go through this whole cycle. And it goes something like this. You get resentful, then you get angry, and then you blow up. Somehow, some way, you blow up at something small, you argue, what have you. Your wife cries or she doesn't, walks away, whatever. You feel like crap. When you feel like crap, you feel guilty. And that guilt makes you angry. And then you blow up, and then you feel sorry, then you feel guilty, then you feel angry. And you go through this pattern over and over again until eventually, for a lot of guys, you just become numb. You just become numb. And that resentment builds and builds and builds. And so in TPM, we teach something called the triad of connection because women need to feel safe, emotionally safe. And every time we blow up or every time we come inwards to ourselves, your wife can't feel safe. And when she can't feel safe, she can't feel seen. And I don't mean just looking at her. I mean seen deeply, like you see her for who she really is. The beautiful woman inside of her, the girl that has been dying inside. You see her for she really is, right? And a lot of guys will report that they'll find out later that their wife has been living a life of desperation, crying in the shower, just hoping things will change, hoping things will get better and wondering why. Why isn't her man stepping up? Why is she in this marriage? Now, once she feels seen, then you got to make her feel heard. And it's not repeating the words back. It's truly understanding the words that she's saying. Then and only then can you get desire, right? So it's safety first, then it's woman needs to be seen, heard, and desired. Now, when you have resentment, you can't do this. When there's mud on the glass, you can't do this, right? So how do you get it off? How do you actually get the mud off the glass so you can get back to a place where you can actually see and be seen by the woman you said I do to? Because that woman, the woman that you married, my guess, you'd still want to be with her. She's going to laugh at your jokes, right? She's going to want to know what your wins and losses are in the workplace. She's going to want to celebrate you like the king that you are. That was the woman you married. And over time, she became something else. But the truth is, didn't you? Didn't you also become somebody else? Are you still exactly the man that she married? Well, I certainly hope not, right? I hope we all evolved. If you got married in your 20s or 30s or whatever, we've evolved over time. And so we get to go through that triad of connection. Now, the triad of connection is something that we teach at TPM. The triad of connection starts with the clean slate method. Now, the clean slate method, we've done a lot of podcasts on this, but it's essentially like wiping that glass clean. It's like taking Windex or a powerful glass cleaner. Actually, it's more like taking a high pressure washer to the mud on the glass between you and your wife and wiping it all away. It's really like that. It's that powerful. And once we've done that and you can see each other, we then use the hidden motives technique. And that's allowing validation. So think of the clean slate method as allowing your wife, probably for the first time in your marriage, to feel safe, truly safe. Now, I know when I say that, some of you are like, what the heck are you talking about, Doug? Right? And some of you are like, wow, my wife tells me that all the time. She doesn't feel safe. When my wife first told me, I remember her telling me that she didn't feel safe. I was like, what the heck do you mean? I've never hit you, pushed you, or even threatened you before. Like, I'm physically fit. I was a safe guy to be around. In fact, I was that guy that would defend people publicly who are being picked on. I don't like bullies. And I've got no problem stepping in front of another man or group of men and addressing it if necessary. So, of course, you got to feel safe around me. But she didn't. What I didn't understand is she didn't feel emotionally safe. I grew up in a family with all dudes. I played sports my whole life. I was around guys. So safety was a physical thing to me. I didn't understand the emotional safety that she needed. Okay, so you have to be able to apply that emotional safety. And to do that, once you have that, that's clean slate method. Then the glass is clean. She can feel safe because now she can see you and you can see her. See, when she can't see you, she doesn't know what she's dealing with. Is she dealing with the angry guy inside? Is she dealing with the resentful guy? Is she dealing with the guy who just watches porn all the time or is fantasizing about her girlfriends or whatever else it is? She can't see you, so therefore she can't be safe. When she can see you and you can see her, the slate is clean, the glass is clean, then she can feel safe. Now we need her to feel heard and seen, or seen and heard, whichever way you want to put it. This is where we use the second part of the triad. So if you can picture a triangle, the base is going to be the clean slate method. The second side is going to be the hidden motives technique. I do a lot of trainings on the hidden motives technique, but in essence, this is going to allow your wife to feel really, really seen and heard. And many women will say it for the first time in their life. I hear this all the time from men that report this back. When they use the hidden motives technique repeatedly, they are able to provide a space for their woman to truly feel seen and heard for the first time. And when you can make a woman feel truly seen and heard, you can move mountains with her in that marriage and that relationship. It is paramount, guys. This is the technique that we weren't taught as men. It's a communication technique. It's like being able, going through your life and women all speak Japanese and you speak English and you just don't understand what they're saying. You don't understand what's going on. And the hidden motives technique is like somebody giving you a Rubik, somebody giving you the clue where you can actually like almost putting on glasses where as soon as they speak Japanese, you can speak Japanese back, or it translates it to English, whatever analogy you want to use. It is a magical technique. It is an easy to use technique, but like most things, right? The easy things work and they're easy not to do. So you got to learn and master the hidden motives technique. Now, the third thing you want to do is we got to get the live like a king system. That's a system that we use that allows men to really regain themselves, if you will, and keep things moving on. Because you don't want things to be better for a day or 2 days. You want them to be better forever. And a lot of guys will talk about their second marriage within their first marriage. So what I mean is like marriage 2.0. That's what my wife and I called it. Let's do marriage 2.0. We were able to wipe the slate clean of the past and go into the future. But we were able to do that with passion, with love. If you ever see my wife and my kids and I, we're normal people. What you see on camera or what you see in pictures is the same as you're going to see in person. There's no difference. We're not perfect by any means, right? But we're perfectly imperfect for us. There's passion, there's love, right? We respect each other. And we got back to that place because we did the three things that I'm talking to you guys now. You got to clean the slate. You got to use the hidden motives technique and the live like a king system, that triad of connection, what we call those three together. This allows you to actually see your wife again. And when you do this, guys, and this, I'll say 98% of the time, because there are those guys that are outliers, they will say the woman that they thought they shouldn't have married, right? The person they're like, man, I think I married the wrong person. When they go through and become activated, that's what we call it at TPM, you become activated again. So you become back to the man that you used to be. When they become activated, their wife steps forward too with them and meets them. And all of a sudden they realize, wow, my wife's actually a really cool person. She's very smart. Men that join our program don't marry dumb women. It's just, I can tell you, I ask this question of guys all the time. Is your woman smart? Oh yeah, she's Doug. She's super smart. It's time and time again because you guys are smart, right? So she's smart. So what's going on? What's missing here is the chasm. You guys are missing each other. That is the key, guys. You're missing each other. Maybe you did marry the wrong woman, but you would be one of the 2%ers. I know everybody thinks their situation's unique. I get it. We've had thousands upon thousands of men go through our programs, but I'm here to tell you guys, it's really, really rare. There's certain consistencies that happen. And you'd have to be a moron not to recognize patterns if you're seeing them over and over again. I get to see the patterns inside of marriages and inside of men's lives. So I get to see these patterns over and over again. So these are the things that you want to look for. So when you're looking at the question of, did I marry the wrong person? First of all, what I want you to know is it's always easy to have another woman laugh at your jokes or commune with you or smile upon you when you go to the gym or see you for what you are, because that person is only seeing a fragment of you and a fragment of your life. Also, the other woman doesn't have the baggage of the trauma or the separation from having kids and the late nights that go into that, the sleepless nights and the soccer practice and this and that. They don't have all that mud on the glass with you. So it seems easy. And it's going to be easy and great at the beginning, right? That's typically what I hear because we have men that go through this. Then over time, they grow into the same problem again. It becomes like Groundhog's Day, where their new marriage starts to end up a lot like their last marriage if they don't make the key changes that I mentioned. And that's the thing. So what I invite you to do, what I would do, and I did this in my marriage, is if you can show up for 30 days consistently as the wolf, wise, open, loving, and fierce, use the triad of connection. If you can do that for 30 days consistently without fail, then that will give you insight. And if you don't get a glimmer of your wife being the woman that you really want to be with, then maybe it is time for you to walk away. But you have to do yourself the favor first, because otherwise you're going to have regrets. And that is the worst thing that can happen, because I hear it all the time, is men that exit the relationship and then end up having regrets because they didn't go all in. They didn't go all in. They didn't learn the tools and techniques of how to have a thriving and passionate marriage. I was never taught them. You were never taught them. We just don't get taught those things as men, as modern men. And that's what the activation method for relationships is all about. It's a methodology, a proven methodology that you can go through. And if you're interested in going through that, simply click the link below. Wherever you're finding this, that link will take you there. You'll get information. You can talk to an advisor, and you can make the decision if it's the right thing for you, right? It's a methodology. But whatever you do, go all in. Don't want to live with regrets. You don't want to exit and have regrets. We just did a show about affairs, because that happens a lot. We get guys that call us up and say, man, I had an affair. I just don't know how to get it back. Or I had an affair 10 years ago. My wife still brings it up. If you haven't done that, if you have, then there's ways back. But if you haven't done that and you're just thinking, man, did I just marry the wrong person? Well, then you owe yourself the ability to have a clean conscience and walk away and make sure you've done everything possible to make sure you're making the right decision before you make the mistake that some men are having a hard time getting back from. And it doesn't have to be TPM. It doesn't have to be the activation method for relationships. I think it's the best program. I'm 100% biased. I wouldn't be involved in it if I didn't think it was the best. I'd go out and do something else. But thousands of men have been through it before you with success. And that's what you want. Find something that resonates with you, has a methodology that you can follow with proven results. It's one thing to say, I did it in my marriage, but it's another thing to see hundreds, if not thousands of other men say, yeah, it worked for me too. That's not by chance when you get to those numbers. It's not by chance. But whatever you do, you owe it to yourself to go all in. Go all in and find out for yourself, for sure, is she the right woman for me? And if you find out she's not, you have a clear conscience when you exit. And that happens, right? We guide men through that process as well. And I applaud you for it, because at least you went all in rather than just taking the easy route. You know, the barista that laughs at your jokes, sure she does, but she's behind the bar at the coffee shop. She's got nothing better to do. Make sure you actually take time to find out. Your family deserves it. You deserve it. As I always say in the moment of insight, gentlemen, take massive action. And this is a moment of insight for you. What can you do for the next 30 days or 90 days even to go all in on your marriage to make sure you've done everything possible? And if you're at this situation where things aren't working, get guidance. If it's not through TPM, go somewhere else, right? But you owe it to yourself to at least check in. Click the link below, find out some more information. If it's not for you, no harm, no foul. Our advisors will actually recommend other programs potentially if they think it's not a good fit, right? We're not for everybody. We only work with business leaders. So that's business owners and C-suite executives at this time, right? If you're not one of those, we have a small program that actually goes over the hidden motives technique. So at least you can start building your bridge back. But whatever you do, take some action. And gentlemen, I'll see you next time on the TPM Show.